Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Hump Day edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are preparing for Lorien Fenton to come on the show to talk about the secrets we don't know about UFOs, especially right after an amazing UFO con. But first, let us say hello to each and every one of you as we have Kitty Caddywhack in the gold medal position, Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing the bronze medal, Luscious Jewels. Hold on. Tim Mothman and his goatee are sharing a silver, Luscious Jewels with a bronze medal tonight. As we start off roll call with Race Fan. How you doing? Thunderhead and Frankie B. Nice to see you. Stephanie Ketty Blankenship. What's going on? Werewolf. How you doing? Allison Ford is here. Allison Ford will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio and be very, very gentle. She's from Saskatchewan. All right. Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because Lorien always says she will not come on this show to talk UFOs unless Mel has lubed her up. So thank you, Mel, for lubing up Lorien as we speak. Mickey G, how are you? Nice to see you. As we scroll on down to Jennifer Beveridge. What's going on, neighbor? Necessary Dialogue and Crystal Cat. Thank you for joining us tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Moving on down, up next on our list, well, let's see here. If I can push my glasses up and read the fine print, let's see who it'll be. Well, so far, it's the same people having a conversation. Road Flare and Thomas Rock, good to see you. Kurt M is here. Kurt M and his beard will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Operation Shutdown, how you doing tonight? Magnus Vermagnuson and Sharon Sunshine, how are you both tonight? Undead Jed and Whistling Mike is in the chat room. He just spent an hour with Lorien on Saturday at UFO Con being interviewed. Thank you for that, Whistling Mike, by the way. Algaray over on Twitch, 2,500 unidentified flying leg girls at 450 pounds each. His legs are jacked for tonight's show. Number 22 in your program tonight, starting at center ice from Stockholm, Sweden, Lars Jansson. He's going for a Lady Bing this year, just so you know. He's only got like 4 minutes in penalties all year. Mike Arrington, how are you? Nice to see you. And I'm Hardcore over on X. Thanks for coming on in tonight. Let's scroll on down next and say hello to Carol Amario and Shogun. How you doing, my friend? Paramarv. Oh, it's Frankie B's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Frankie B. Happy birthday to you, Frankie B. Happy birthday, bad Frankie B. Happy birthday to you. There you go. Walter Kochabinski, how are you? And let's see, in the studio. And who is next? Well, let's scroll on down. Let's keep scrolling. Stargazer, how are you? And Dookie Pickles on X. How you doing, my friend? Up next, who is next? Who's next? Well, it's Shane Gord, everybody. Shane Gord, welcome to SOR Chat. JSCO, thanks for coming on in. Integrationing, nice to see you tonight as we are caught up. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're having fun tonight talking UFOs. One of the best in the business, Lorien Fenton, is here. I'll see if I can embarrass her during the show because I always like to. She's already shaking her head. She's like, good God, Dave, just shut the hell up. Aaron the Tree, how are you tonight? And East Coast Turnaround, thank you for coming on in. Benno, nice to see you. JSCO, my friend, how are you tonight? Super Chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. So make sure you check it on out. I highly suggest you do. And what else can I tell you? You can join our membership on YouTube. Patreon is open as well, as we're starting to put some content on both now. And of course, we're working on it. We're working on it. Dave's mic sounds like rocks gurgling. Oh, don't tell me that right before showtime. Horns up. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Shush. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears to what's that really happening in the news. We're together, friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. Go to cariboucon.com for our big paranormal event in the heart of British Columbia, September 18th through 20th. We have an amazing show coming up tonight. We're getting into UFOs. After UFO Con, Lorien Fenton is going to be here with a great interview. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off. We're going to follow that up with our good friend Terry Hall and his gorgeous mustache with the weird news of the week. So let's get right to it tonight. Lorien Fenton is a respected UFO researcher, longtime investigator, and experiencer who has spent decades exploring the mysteries surrounding extraterrestrial encounters and human consciousness. Known for her grounded approach and deep curiosity, Lorien has worked closely with experiencers from around the world, helping to document and better understand close encounters, contact phenomena, and the emotional and psychological impact these events can have. Her work bridges the gap between scientific inquiry and personal testimony, offering a thoughtful perspective on one of humanity's most profound mysteries. As an experiencer herself, Lorien brings a unique and deeply personal lens to the UFO subject, combining firsthand insight with years of research and field work. She has been involved in numerous conferences, discussions, and investigative efforts, contributing to the growing conversation around disclosure and the evolving understanding of non-human intelligence. So with that beautiful write-up right there, let's bring her on in. One of the greats in the UFO world, my mentor, my friend, Lorien Fenton. How are you?
Well, I don't know what to say. Every time I come on, that bio gets more elaborate and more elaborate. And by the time I'm old and gray, what's going to happen is it'll take 2 hours to read it. Right, Dave?
Well, the way you work, you are a workaholic. That's something that you and I have in common. If we're not working, we're
Yeah,
not doing anything, and
exactly.
I totally respect that of you and anybody out there who does that because, when you're putting aside friends, family for the cause, it means the cause has importance to you. And you love this subject, Lori, and you love what this is all about. You've heard from insiders, you've heard from people who are in the know, you've heard personal experiences. And to me, you're an encyclopedia of what is right with ufology.
Well, thank you for that. I really do appreciate it. And I do have to say, though, the person that is the true encyclopedia in our community, as far as crash retrievals and all the things that have ever happened as far as UFO incidents, that's Michael Schratt. I got to say, the man's a phenom. He's remarkable. I think I'm the antithesis of Michael. I kind of remember all of the experiencers' experiences during all of those encounters that he talks about. Like I have talked to quite a few of them over the years because I've been doing this pretty much since the mid 90s, where I started talking to experiencers and contactees. And so it's been a very interesting 40 years down this track. I've actually been at it for over 50 years, 55 to be exact. I started when I was 13 years old and I'm 68. So there you go,
You
folks.
68?
Yeah, I'll
I
be
had no
69
clue.
this summer.
My dear, I had no clue.
Oh, yeah, I'm ancient.
I had no
So
clue.
anyhow, long story short, I never had kids, so I didn't get old that way because my brain just never had to worry about them killing themselves in a car accident or, going to a party and not coming home or, all my friends were up all night, like when they were teenagers, every Friday and Saturday night calling me going, I don't know where they are, what they're doing. And and it aged them quickly. As you know, Dave, you didn't earn that gray hair for not having kids. I'll tell you with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, look at me.
Yeah,
Look at
kids
me.
will do that to you really fast. So
Right?
anyhow,
Lorien, there is so much going on in the UFO world right now. I mean, it is at the best of us for those of us who are involved in this field on a daily basis, it's even becoming very difficult for us to follow. How do you try and blend everything together so people who listen to your podcast radio program on Revolution Radio or elsewhere, how can you put it all together? How do you do it?
well, what I've been doing lately, because like you said, there's just so many paths to go down now. We have the scientists, we have the government whistleblowers, and that includes people like Danny Sheehan and that group. And then you disclose, what are they called? Citizens for Disclosure. I can never remember the name of it. And then we have the experiencers, and then we have the people that are kind of on the fringe that have just seen a UFO but that aren't experiencers or don't remember being experiencers. I kind of put them all in different, tracks. And what I try to do is I try to get people to understand, like on my show, my my biggest thing to do is to get experiencers on talking about their experiences so that the people that are in the track of Citizens for Disclosure, because a lot of them listen to my show now, and they're telling me all the time, oh my God, when we have our meetings on Tuesday once a month, we have a Citizens for Disclosure meeting. They go, I had no idea that experiencers were going through this kind of stuff. And then vice versa. I will have the Citizens for Disclosure guys on my radio show, and they will talk about what it's like trying to help the whistleblowers in Washington, D.C., and trying to help our government figure out through the Senate and the Congress how we're going to do disclosure, if it's ever really going to happen, And they talk about that. And then my experiencers who listen go, oh my God, I didn't know there was anybody in Washington, D.C. even cared about this. So I try my best to have a little bit of everything on, just like you, Dave, and have science. And you have Science Bob on and quite a few, and Courtney with the news and things like that. And it's very important that we do all that we cover every track there is, because the problem is once you go down one track, you're not exposed to the other track unless you're pushed into it. Okay? All my experiencers that I talked to would never have known about Danny Sheen if it wasn't for my radio show or my MUFON meetings where I forced them to listen to these guys. Okay? And now they're like, oh my God, there's people out there fighting for us. So it's a very interesting conundrum that we found ourselves in the last 10 years. And it's only been the last 10 years. Up until 2010, 2012 or so, people were either experiencers or they were ufologists and researchers. And that was pretty much all we had going on. We didn't have the whole Washington, D.C. thing going on then. We didn't have anybody fighting for us in the government. We didn't even know what the word disclosure was until 2015 when Tom DeLonge shows up at International UFO Congress with a 45-second video saying, this new group, To the Stars Academy, that you're going to find out about in the future is going to fight for disclosure. We're all like, oh, okay, so disclosure is a new thing now. So is that your take on it?
That 45-second video in 2017 got him
It was
the
2015,
UFO
actually.
Researcher of the Year.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, don't forget that 45-second video got him UFO Researcher of the Year.
Oh, the one where he's in white and he just says, oh, they're coming and maybe you don't want to know about it. That one, it was actually 2015, Dave.
Or 2015, whatever it was.
Yeah. It got him Researcher of the Year at International UFO Congress. And I'm like, what? It just blew my mind. But don't it get me started how the whole To the Stars Academy thing.
Well, I'm just kind of laughing because I now know why Alejandro Rojas will never invite me to the International UFO Conference, because I called him out.
Well, and as well you should have. I sat there. I didn't even clap. I was so pissed off that whole thing was happening. I couldn't believe it. I looked around and all my friends were up clapping. Oh, it's so wonderful. And I'm like sitting there going, are you kidding me? Another psyop. Another one. Like we just lived through a whole bunch of them. Now we got to live through another one. So, and how long has it been? 2015. That's 11 and a half years now that we've still been waiting for this great disclosure they're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I'll ever make Alejandro Rojas's Christmas card list after calling him out as a fake journalist.
Well, okay. I've known Alejandro for a very long time. I'm going to stay out of this.
Oh, yeah. I know you will. But you remember that article.
He doesn't run the Congress anymore. It is shut down. Ever since COVID, it's gone.
No, it's I'm teasing there, but now Alejandro's got a cushy gig working for Enigma Labs, where he's doing whatever he's doing, collecting a paycheck.
He's marketing and PR or whatever. And now none of this is real anymore to him. Whereas back when he was working for the other company that John Rao ran, what was it called? Whatever. Anyhow, the point is he believed in UFOs and aliens then, and now he doesn't. So what do you do?
I want to ask you, because you said something about disclosure when you were getting into the whole Tom DeLonge thing. Okay. And I want to get into that a little bit because there are so many different facets of disclosure. There's soft disclosure, there's full disclosure, there's catastrophic disclosure, there's the threat narrative disclosure. What are we trying for? Do we even know anymore?
Well, the PsyOps guys that are running the show want the fear porn disclosure. That's what they're going for right now. I believe, though, that what's happened since David Grush came on the scene, I think it threw them for a loop, because I don't think they were expecting everybody to be so accepting of the fact that we actually have non-human intelligence, or the NHI that they're always talking about in the Senate. For example, when Luna, is she a congressman or a senator? I don't remember. But
congressperson, yeah.
Congressperson, okay. Whenever she went on a show right after that last hearing and said there were other dimensional beings that she learned during the hearings, that there were other dimensional beings coming to us through dimensions and coming to this planet. And then she said it like it was a fact. And I thought that was fascinating because I would never have expected that to come out of the hearings, or for a senator or congressperson to get up there on national, I think it was Fox, on national television and say, oh my God, there's beings coming from other dimensions. I mean, really, I never expected that. So I think what happened was the psyop to get the fear porn, to get everybody into Congress to kind of look into it so that they could get more money to study it or do whatever this disclosure was going to be in 20 more years. I think it backfired when Grush got in there and started saying, hey, this stuff's all real and there's actually aliens too, because up until that point, no one had brought up the aliens. Leslie Kean didn't, Blumenthal, nobody did in 2017 to the Stars Academy would talk about it. They only brought up the military guys and what happened with the UFOs. They never let the guys on the show unidentified go into all of the contact they were having too. So I was kind of flabbergasted that Grush kind of went whoopee-doo, and all these guys now are sitting there going, there's aliens now. So actually, I think it's going to help us in the long run. I think that's going to flip the cards, flip the table, and make it so the fear porn people out there like Elizondo and Mellon and whatever are really, they don't have as much control anymore. I don't think they're going to get the big bucks I think they were going to get to help bring in the fear porn disclosure down the road. So
do you think then, Lorien, that disclosure is possible?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely possible.
Because I am very negative about it. Negative.
Well, I have been too. I've been the one that in 2015 sitting at that table, I looked up at Melinda and everybody at that table with me, and I said, you guys, it won't happen for 20 years. If we're lucky, and more like 25 when we're all dead, this whole group that are in their 70s and 80s and 60s, when we're all dead, then maybe they'll let it happen. Because they screwed us over so badly by not acknowledging the fact that whenever we made a report to anybody, anywhere about anything, we were all treated like kooks. And we were harassed, and we were mylabbed, and we've been studied, and there are so many things they've done to us that they can't get out of now. Because if they come out and say, oh yeah, by the way, when you were abducted, we took you to, and we took samples, and we knocked you out, and we put you on a helicopter or in a van, and took you to an underground base and probed you. And and by the way, the reptilians were there helping us. They can't get away with that, because if they do, we'll all sue their asses into oblivion. They will never get full disclosure of what they've done to us.
Do you think, and I asked Courtney this last night when she was on the show.
Dang her, she got my Tuesday night.
Do you think that somewhere deep inside the Pentagon or one of these secret locations, there is a list of experiencers?
Oh, I know there is.
How do you know?
I just know. From all the people I've talked to that are ex-CIA, ex-military, some distant family members that I can't really bring up. I know more than I should know, actually. And it's so weird how I know, Dave, because it's not like I went out looking for it. It's like people would come up to me in the weirdest places and say, can I talk to you for a minute? And I barely know them. Like I see them at a wedding or something, and they're like the 18th distant cousin of another friend of a friend, right? And I'll sit down and they go, oh, by the way, I'm so-and-so, and I worked at the Pentagon, and I did this. And by the way, did you know that there were, blah, blah, blah around the UFO thing? And I'm like 27 years old, and I'm not really into it as much as I am now. I was 53 before I really got it became my full-blown life, okay? I'm 27 years old. I'm a professional dancer. I'm in a dance company, and I'm like, what? And these people are coming out of the woodwork for like 20 and 30 years in the strangest places, strangest times, and telling me stuff. It's like they knew that I was going to be doing all this in the future. It's like, and they were all giving me information. Like I had a guy come up to me that was, and this again was at a family wedding, a guy from Europe. Turns out he's a relative of a friend of the bride, or whatever. And he's one of the top banking guys in the United Kingdom. I can't go into much more detail. We can talk International Monetary Fund if you guys would like. And he was based in Russia at the time. And he comes sauntering up to me at this wedding and starts telling me all about how they control the world. And I never know who these people were that were controlling the world. And I'm thinking to myself, 20 years later, I'm going, why did that guy even talk to me? And he's telling me everything that Alex Jones ever said. I mean, it was like every conspiracy you could think of, he was telling me it's all true and that they do run the world. And these guys are all just, you never know who they are, and that they're not necessarily the best people in the whole world. I think he was trying to hint that they were Satanists, but hey, he didn't say that word. So what do I know? Isn't that weird?
That is very weird.
It is weird. It's been going on my whole life.
Out of all the insiders you've talked to, as we got about 3 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour, Lorien Fenton is our guest. All the insiders, what is the common rationale for disclosure? Why are we doing it?
I think that because of the media and because of all the hoopla around ET, starting with way back when we got Close Encounters of the Third Kind, ET, Alien, the whole Hollywood thing. I think back then they were trying to make it so that we were not, even War of the Worlds, which was a fear porn movie, but I think they were trying to make it so that we could start accepting that there are other species out there, other beings, maybe other dimensional beings, what have you. Even Avatar helped with that. I think they've been slowly just programming it into us over these last 30 or 40 years. And now, the reason we kind of want disclosure is because I think they want to give us disclosure. I think they're tired of hiding all this. I think by the time, like I said, in the next 20 years, when my group is all dead, the 70s and 80 years old, the Robert Salises, those kind of guys, when they're all gone, then they can come out to the 40 and 50-year-olds old now and say, you guys know that they're here. And they do. They pretty much know. They've been introduced to it. They know it's real. They don't really know that they know it's real, but they do, because they've been indoctrinated into it. Whereas I, growing up, was not. So it's a very interesting thing that they're doing with this whole acceptance of it. And I think that group will demand disclosure because they know it's real. In their gut, they know it's real. They don't have to be an experiencer to know it's real.
I think, though, the control of the narrative is something that people need to pay a little bit more attention to.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like the comment Jeremy in our chat room made. He says, I find it funny we are supposed to believe the government on UFOs, but call them liars on everything else. What a way to pick and choose what to believe.
Oh, that's interesting, Jeremy. Good comment. But that's the absolute truth. And, they aren't really saying they're real right now. And I don't know. It's going to come down to whether they're going to finally admit that we have a secret space program or not. I think that's going to be the real deal breaker for them, is when we finally figure out that they've been taking people to the moon and all kinds of places for a very, very long time. And trust me, I didn't believe that either.
Let's talk about that when we return, because that's an interesting storyline and angle to go on with. Lorien Fenton is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. If there's anybody tapped in, it's Lorien. It really is. She has insiders. She has people working on disclosure. She has experiencers on her side. I don't know how she does it, but she makes one hell of a good radio show. This is Spaced Out Radio. We'll be right back. Good start.
Hey, yeah, I'm excited about talking about. I want to talk about Niara. Have you ever had her on your show?
Who?
Niara Isley.
I think so.
She was attacked by humans and aliens in Tonopah and then taken to the moon.
Oh, no, I haven't had her on.
Oh, she's amazing. She's been one of Melinda and I and Misha used to hang out with Niara all the time. And she's a lovely, lovely woman. You got to go listen to her on Redacted.
Okay.
Yeah, she's blow your mind. Blow your mind. Hey, did the Bigfoot make it home okay?
Yes.
Oh, good, because mine didn't. Mine got scratched.
Oh, no.
It's okay. I'll go buy another one. They're not expensive, but I just wanted to make sure yours got home all right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, mine got home just fine.
Good.
Yep.
Were you a smart one? Did you dump out your wine and take your bottle empty home?
No, I did something stupid.
What'd you do?
I wasn't even thinking, and I'm like, oh, I just got carry on. And I forgot that I'd put it in my bag to check my bag because I forgot about the wine bottle.
Oh, great.
So I go to Cross TSA. They scan my bag and they're like, I'm like, I've never had my bag scanned before. And he goes, oh, what's in there? What caused it? And then all of a sudden I was like, I literally went to him. I said, oh shit. I said, I'm sorry. I'm trying to smuggle a bottle of wine. And he goes, you can't bring that on the plane. So I said, would you like the bottle of wine? And he laughs and he goes, unfortunately, I can't take it, but I'm sure it'll be used at a party down the road. So I had to sacrifice the wine.
That's okay. The thing about that wine is, like, and I hate to say this, I'm not a huge fan of the wine itself, but the guy's very sweet to us. He always has been. And he's an experiencer, but he won't come to my conference. But he has aliens on the cap, and the label is about the 1594 flap over France, where the airships were beaming red lights down on the vineyards. So the whole townspeople got together and made a proclamation to the aliens in the ship that they could not shine their beams on their vineyards. And it's hysterical. Cool. The bottle itself is worth $1 million, So what everybody does is I tell them, empty the bottle out, just dump out the wine if you're not going to drink it, and take the bottle home and go to Temu and buy one of those little lights that go in a bottle.
Yeah.
And then you got a great little lamp. I've got one here. I love it.
Damn it, I should have done that.
It's okay. I'll get you another one. I'll bring it up with me.
Bring it up.
I'll bring it up.
All right. Parasolo, how are you tonight? And who else am I missing here? Jerence Carter. Les Paul Holland, how you doing? And yeah, that's pretty much it. We're caught up. We got about a minute and a half here.
Okay. You didn't go out for a smoke. What's wrong?
Next half hour.
Okay. All right.
I have a pattern to follow.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure you were okay.
I am a creature of habit. By the way, at UFO Con, this time worked the best between Robert and I, that he took the mornings and I took the afternoons.
Yeah.
It worked the best.
Yeah. That's what we should always do.
Yeah. Because with me staying up all night with you, getting up at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning to introduce somebody for 5 minutes is kind of hard.
Yeah, and Robert doesn't mind because he goes to bed early and he'll get up.
Yeah. I love Robert. I do.
I know. I do too.
She's so amazing.
I just can't believe the amount of amazing friends I have. I mean, I have some of the most amazing people in my life.
I'm just going to say thank you tonight to the wizard, Josh Rutledge, for kicking off the super chat tonight. Jeff Steve Garvey, he's hitting a home run with his super chat. And Walter Kochabinski, thank you for the love, my friend. It's a great way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. And don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. And Paul Hynek is not funny, just for the record. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. We're talking to UFOs with our guest, Lorien Fenton. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the captain who runs this ship. And let's fly off into the stars together, shall we? Want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, our archives are always free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go, Lorien Fenton. We're talking disclosure. We're talking all sorts of conspiratorial topics regarding this. And I love this subject with you, Lorien. I appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure, sweetie. You know, I love being on your show. So
I know you just can't.
Before we talk about the moon and the secret space program, a while back I was on your show and somebody texted me or emailed me or made a comment somewhere about the fact that I'm probably not an experiencer because I don't talk about, being abducted or anything like that. And I didn't think much of it until recently. And I thought, geez, people don't understand that I'm actually an experiencer. It's just that I don't have the experiences with the grays or the reptilians or those kind of beings. Except one time I was actually hugged by a reptilian. He was in the back seat of my car and he reached around the seat and hugged me and he put his cheek up to mine and he was invisible and I could smell him and I could feel his cheek on me and he said in my ear, "I love you. You're helping us. Thank you." And something to that effect. And I was so freaked out that I felt this arm around me and this cheek up there and this hot breath and everything. I slammed on the brakes on the freeway and pulled over. And then I finally got enough to get back on the road. And at the next rest stop, I pulled over and I was there for about an hour and a half, just freaking out, like shaking and crying. And I was a mess because if he'd appeared, full blown reptilian in the car, I would have killed it. I would have wrecked the car. I would have totally wrecked the car. So by him being invisible, I was just able to hold it together enough to be able to pull over. But man, don't ever leave Las Vegas on the 10 heading towards Los Angeles and have a reptilian hug you, especially if they're full blown and you can see them. It's just totally scary. Anyhow, I told that story to Barbara Lamb once. And she was laughing so hard. And I go, "Barbara, don't laugh at me." I said, "This was the scariest moment of my life." And she says, "Lorien, you're not going to believe this. I've had so many experiencers tell me their reptilians appear in the car while they're driving in the back seat. And they look in the rearview mirror and they're sitting back there." And I'm like, "Oh God, I would have wrecked the car." She goes, "Yeah, luckily enough, no one's died from it yet." But she goes, "They have a tendency to do that." I'm like, "Barbara, you gotta be kidding." She goes, "No, I'm not." I was like, "Oh, that was horrible." So I have experienced a reptilian, but not in the way that most people do. And he was coming to thank me and, whatever. So he was a good reptilian.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
There we go.
Tell he wants to lick his poisonous tongue all over your face.
God, it was so freaky. I'm telling you. Oh God, it felt like froggy skin. What a froggy would feel like on your skin. I think.
Oh no, 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 no.
You don't want a froggy skinned alien hugging you from behind, huh, Dave?
You know, the closest I've been to a reptilian was in 2023 when I was doing the Estes method out at Flight 21. And it was like I had the blindfold on. So I'm not sure if you know what the Estes method is. It's an experiment that's usually used in the paranormal, where you wear a blindfold, you put on noise canceling headphones,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then you listen for the radio signal, right? And try to
Yes.
hear talking. I didn't hear any talking, but what I saw under the blindfold was enough to shake me up because I had my eyes open under the blindfold and I could see this giant white orb like right in the side of my eye. And I actually was closing my eyes afterwards because it was so bright. And in the meantime, they are filming a UFO coming down, a white orb coming down above us. And then as the orb was there, I started seeing a ticker tape of alien gray heads going past my eyes. And then it switched to reptilian eyes. That's the
Ooh.
closest I've ever been to a reptilian, and I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
good with that. That
I,
was enough
I
for me.
Yep, I right there with you. If that thing had been appeared to me as a real solid being, I think I would have. That would have been it for me.
Yeah, don't want that.
Yeah.
Then the next day is when we had the aliens grays walking through the trees.
Oh yeah, yeah. You told me about that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love it.
yeah,
Well, oh, we were going to talk about Niara and the Moon and the secret space program.
yes. Secret.
Okay.
Okay, so you brought up a fact, and I want to keep this on a disclosure movement here
Oh,
because
okay. Okay.
because as you know, I've been very steadfast over the years that the difference between UFOs and UAPs. And I am steadfast that UAPs are man-made objects.
I agree with you totally.
And here's my symptom of this though, because sometimes it makes my head hurt, and that's why I call it a symptom. I look at this disclosure movement like you do, that it isn't about UFOs. It isn't about alien contact. This has a huge opportunity to absolutely disrupt all the secret black projects that's going on. I think disclosure is more about the black projects than it is about aliens and UFOs. What's your thoughts on that?
I think they're going to keep those black projects hidden until the day they don't have to. They are going to hold those things close to their vest. They're not going to let us know about the secret space program. They're not going to let us know they've been going to the moon. They are not. There are so many hints out there, so many experiencers, so many people that can tell you I was taken on a triangle and I was taken to the moon, or I was taken to here, or I was taken to there, and we got there in like 45 minutes or whatever. And look, every one of them can't be lying. I'm telling you. And these are solid people. A lot of them are military people. And my favorite one is Niara. I mean, and this is what this whole disclosure thing is truly about. It's talking about the fact that we actually have something in the sky that isn't ours, when I'd say 75% of it's ours, maybe even more, maybe 80% is ours, and only 20% is theirs. And I also believe that it's to keep the fact that they have a grid pattern of invisible craft around this whole planet. They always have. They've always been here. They're just one slight dimension over from our reality. And they're always here with us all the time. I mean, look what Bob Bigelow said on the 60 Minutes show he did back in 2014 or 2016. I can't even remember when it was. He said they're here. They're here with us all the time. They're here right now. What's the problem? And this is what they don't want us to even figure out. What all they're going to give us, if they give us disclosure, is the fact that there are UFOs that are coming to this planet. And yes, we have been visited by ET. I don't think they're going to give us any more than that. They're not going to tell us about the secret space program. They're not going to talk about mining the moon. They're not going to talk about all the people that they've used out in on the ships with the other aliens. Like when Terry Lovelace was on his ship, he sees, now this is interesting. I don't think I've ever told you this, Dave. I'm having a MUFON meeting and Terry's on my MUFON by Zoom. And we're talking, I've got 60 people in the room and we're talking all about his experience, the Devil's Den experience. This was after his first book. And we're talking about it. And Terry and I had been friends for a while. I could go into some crazy stuff that happened with Terry and I too, but it's not about disclosure. But so long story short, Terry finally, we're doing Q&A and I finally say to Terry, I say, Terry, did you see any humans on the ship too? Besides all of you that were being taken. And he goes, oh my God. He goes, I never remembered until you just asked me. He goes, there were 2 women and 2 men. He goes, I think it was 2 women and 2 men. And they were working in a little cubby hole kind of off to the right of where I could move my eyes because he was frozen and all he could do is move his eyes. And he said, off to my right, about 25 feet in front of me, like at an airport, like an airport store. It looked like a little cubbyhole area. And he goes, I saw 2 women, 2 men, and they were all in front of computer screens and doing stuff. And he goes, they looked like they were like zombie working. There was no talking, no smiling. They were just doing their thing. It's like they barely knew the other people were even there with them. And the minute he said that, my computer blew up and there was literal smoke coming out of it. And there was a huge screeching sound and all kinds of crazy. Well, now I take it to the computer repair shop to be repaired. And I know the guy because he used to work. It's a long story. I've had computer companies. I went in there and I talked to him and he goes, Lauren, you're not going to believe what I saw when I went to repair your chip that fried. And I go, what did you see? And he goes, it was one little area and one little chip in one little tiny square area that was blown out. He goes, that's never happened in the whole time I've been doing computers for 40 years now. I've never seen anything like it. It's like it was shot with a laser from outer space or something, like, in a movie. And I said, you got to be kidding me. He goes, no. He goes, I've never seen anything like it. The precision, the way it's only in one little square. When a computer blows up like that, there's melted soldering stuff. There's, parts of the chips are melted next to it. It's a mess, right? And I said, yeah, I've seen that before. He goes, no, not this one. It was one little chip in one little square in one little area. Nothing around it was ever damaged, which was very weird. And I wish I'd saved that chip, but I said, replace it, get me a new one and fix the computer. So I didn't think anything of it at the time, but now I'm wondering, wow, that sounds almost alien technology to be able to destroy my computer like that so quickly and so precisely.
So what you're saying is your computer has aliens.
My computer had alien. Yeah, for a few seconds. It didn't like it very much. But long story short, the reason I'm telling you guys this is because it just goes to show what they will not let us talk about. They're getting us down this disclosure path, but it's only what they want us to know or talk about. They don't want us to know that there's humans that are in the military that are being hypnotized or brainwashed or mind controlled into working on a ship with a bunch of aliens. And I believe it's actually happening. If you'd asked me 20 years ago about this, when I was just talking to all my friends about making gray alien babies in space, I call the space babies, I would have gone, oh yeah, well, maybe, whatever. But gosh, you guys, after the things I've heard over all these years and the stories and the testimonies and just the whole part about this clandestine secret space program with all of our military guys For example, I've told you this one before. Melinda had the guy that came to her and said, I think something was wrong. When I was in the military, I was stationed in South America for a while. And I left for South America. And the next thing I know, it's 6 months later, and I wake up in my parents' kitchen doing the dishes. And he doesn't remember anything before that except for getting to South America and being deployed. And he doesn't remember a dang thing. But this guy's now starting, but by the time he gets to Melinda, he's starting to have flashbacks of being on a spacecraft. So for 6 months, he was gone. His parents thought he was in South America doing some kind of clandestine operation. He comes back, and then a week after he's back, he's over the kitchen sink and realizes where he's at. So, hey, who knows what these guys are doing? And if it was one story like that, I'd be like, oh, no way. No freaking way. But now, after 20 years of listening to this, Dave, I'm telling you, I get it all the time. It's becoming more and more prevalent.
A lot of people who will be listening to this for the first time will be like, this lady has no BS meter whatsoever.
Right. Right.
But I want to look at the other side of that, because you have had some sort of enough knowledge, I should say. You've had enough knowledge and understanding of this topic that you can smell BS from a mile away.
Oh, I can.
Do people who are just getting into the disclosure movement have any clue whatsoever about how odd this field is, because they probably come in so nuts and bolts?
No, even people like David Grush and Boyland and those guys who've experienced something and then got thrusted into this whole disclosure mess, I don't even think they understand how complex it is, because it is extremely complex and it is very diverse in how it functions. And these people are very organized. I mean, organized to the point where I know that the aliens are helping them organize it, because there's no way in heck you can mind control that many people unless the military is letting these aliens do it to them. Okay. And like I said, I wouldn't have believed all this except for I became friends with the two women in ufology, Melinda Leslie and Misha Johnston, and also Niara Isley, three women, way early on, that told me stories about my labs that just dovetailed right into the secret space program. Because Melinda was taken on a huge triangle at one point and remembers most of it. And Misha was at an air base where she saw a giant triangle take off. I think it was Misha, it may have been Niara. Don't quote me on all this, you guys, because I've known these women for so long, all their stories are melting into one. But the bottom line is, when you've been around this kind of stuff and heard these stories, and then all these what I call super soldiers that have been involved in the secret space program start about in their late 30s, the mind blocks start erasing themselves, and these guys start remembering the things they had done. And you're like, well, you think half of them are just crazy nut jobs, right? And a lot of them are grifters in this whole thing. I don't believe 99% of them. I really don't. But there are one or two out there that are on the field right now they're out on podcasts and doing things that are saying the right things, that I know that they are probably the real deal, because of the way they say it, how they say it, and what they're talking about. And there are things I will never tell you guys on radio that I use that I can tell when someone's telling me the truth or not. Because if I start talking about that, how am I ever going to be able to tell who's lying and who isn't? I got to have those markers so I know who's really, being used. And here's the kicker, you guys. What you got to remember is this. This is really important. 90% of the people that are out there telling you they're from the secret space program are not. They're grifters who think they have been, and they want to fantasize that they have been, and they really have not. And 90% of them are definitely higher class military people, like Jake Barber, for example. God, who am I thinking of? I can't think of all their names right now, but there are a bunch of guys that have come out recently that I can say, yes, for sure, they're a type of super soldier, or they've been involved in the secret programs or whatever, and they're absolutely real because there's no bullshit about them. And technically, they don't want to talk about it. You know, they're not out there saying, oh, can you make me famous and make me a buck? I can tell you horror stories about some of those guys that have come to me in the past.
When you talk secret space program, you know, I think of craft. I think of people on Mars, people on the moon, people on elsewhere. I think of Andrew Bashago in the jump rooms. I think of a little bit of everything when it comes to that. How do you tell an experiencer of the secret space program from someone who is pulling our legs?
Well, I just said I'm not going to tell you how, I know, but I will tell you this. Let's talk about Andy for a moment. Andy and I have known each other for a very, very long time. And I have told Andy from the very beginning, even the first day I met him, and I can't even remember where I met him because it was long before my first 2012 UFO con. Andy was one of the speakers at my 2012 UFO con. That's how long we go back. And I knew him for years before that because of course, I would have him as my speaker at my first conference, because he's one of my friends. So long story short, the first day I met him, I said, Andy, could you have been mind controlled into believing everything you think is real? Because Andy absolutely does not, his story doesn't vary. He absolutely believes it. In his mind, he has lived it. It's a memory for him. It's not that he made it up. It's a typical memory. And I said, mind control can be in the same vein. You can think that this has all happened to you, and they put it in your head as a thought. They programmed you into that. And he said to me at the time, he said, Lorien, you could be right. He goes, I don't know if that was the case, but I truly believe that they have some kind of system going on where they are actually able to get us to time travel. And because that was his biggest thing when he first came out. And then the story started coming out about Mars, about him and Barack Obama and all these crazy people being on Mars together. And what he's starting to believe in the long run is that, yes, they do have some kind of portal that does some kind of time sequencing to them. And I believe that actually now. If you'd asked me when I met him up until even 5 years ago, I would have said no way. But what I'm finding out from my ETs is that they do have some type of time travel. It's not easy to do, and that they have worked with humans on it for a short amount of time. I don't think it's anything anybody does on a regular basis. Andy always wanted there to be this thing on a regular basis so we could all use it as transportation and whatever. He's always talking about it like that, but it'll never happen because the ETs won't give us that kind of technology. We're too screwed up as a race by killing ourselves. They're not going to give us anything that's going to help us try to figure out some way to weaponize. They're not going to do that. It's just plain out, flat out, that simple. But as far as Andy goes, I truly believe that they did come up with some kind of time travel protocol. I don't know if it just meant that they were in a chair and that they compressed time and they thought they were somewhere for 5 hours in only 5 minutes or whatever. I don't know how it all worked, but they did come up with something, and I believe they were working with ET to make it happen. That's my thoughts now. Like I said, I could change my mind in 10 years. I might say, oh, it was all BS, but I really think it did happen for him in that way.
I was a big fan of Andrew Bashago, but when he started with the Barack Obama and that he was going to be the next president, I think he lost almost everybody. Like that.
Well, he became president, didn't he?
No, but Bashago said that he was going to be the following president.
Oh, Andy said he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I
you
think
know what's weird about that is I believe that Andy saw a timeline where he was becoming the next president.
could be.
And he believed it, you know?
Well, you know what? I will say this. There's certain times you got to open your mouth. There's certain times you don't.
Yeah, I agree.
Lorien Fenton, we got her for one more hour on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right. We'll take a quick break here, Lorien. I'm going to put
Look
up.
at you. You're on Twitch. You're on Instagram. You're on all of it now.
Oh, yeah. I've been for a while.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm. All right. Put that there. I'm going to put you in the green room and I'll be right back. Okay.
Okay.
Be right back, everybody. All right. I am back. Take that down. Go here. Bring Lorien back in. We got about 2 minutes, Lorien.
That's so cute. I'm watching my cat watching Sharks hockey from 12 years ago.
Oh, nice. Well, you do
He
that
loves it. He did love it.
to Warden Dragon.
I don't think we're gonna make the playoffs this year. I'm worried.
You're going to be close, though. And Celebrini is going to crack 100 points here any day.
He cracked it last night or the night before.
Did he?
Yeah, he got 100 points.
Wow.
At least I think he did. I watched 3 games that I all recorded when I got home the other night.
Oh, my.
But we did terrible. I don't know what's happened to us. We've fallen apart this last month. We're doing so good.
Yeah, but you guys have some nice pieces.
We do. We got some interesting defense guys that are stepping up, and I like that Will Smith guy. He knows where Celebrini is on the ice at every given moment.
They still got to find him a winger, though.
I know. But it kind of reminds me of the old what was Wayne Gretzky's guy in New York, the bald guy?
Tony Granato.
No. Shoot. I'm looking at his face. I can't remember his name. But he used to make Mark Messier used to make all the passes to Gretzky, and the two of them were phenoms together.
Yes.
That's what Smith and Celebrini are like.
We got 20 seconds, Lorien. Hi, John Jackson, and thank you to Walter, Jeff, and Josh for the super chats tonight. Greatly appreciate it. It's a wonderful way to support what we do. If you haven't already, do us a favor. Hit a thumbs up for us. It helps with the algorithms. We try and get 100 each night. So please do that. Here we go, everyone. Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Wordfray. Wordfray is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in Lorien Fenton, and we are going to have a good time with her. We're already talking UFOs and some weird, strange stuff. We're talking about jump rooms here. Lorien, do you think there are any jump rooms going on right now?
Yes, absolutely. Again, if you'd asked me that 15 or 20 years ago, I would have said absolutely not. But now, after what I've seen and what I've had happen to me personally, I mean, I've had the whole wall of my bedroom turn into a giant white tunnel in front of me, and a woman comes walking through the white tunnel into my bedroom, and I'm like, okay, if the ETs can do that, why can't we have a jump room, And what's interesting is there's been a couple of interesting guys that worked in the space industry that know about Andy Bishago's, 999 Sepulveda Avenue, back in the 70s or 60s when this was all going on, and they knew about that address. How do these people know about this address? And these are random people that said some kind of strange stuff was going on at that address back at that time. And they weren't privy to it, but they knew it had something to do with transportation, electronic fields. I mean, I'm thinking to myself, why do these people keep coming out of the woodwork in the weirdest places? And 99% of them don't even have a clue who Andy Bishago is, or the jump room story, or anything about that. So I don't know. I'm starting to find it too weird that too many people are coming out of the woodwork talking about things like this.
There was a story recently that came out about a gentleman named Greg Phillips. He's one of the top high-ranking officials of FEMA, appointed to the Office of Response and Recovery in 2025. And he came out on a podcast called the Onward Podcast, where he described an incredibly frightening and evil experience when he was teleported against his will to a Waffle House. Did you hear this story?
No, tell me, please. Now I'm so intrigued. Why would it be terrifying to end up at a Waffle House? I'd be like eating everything in sight. But go ahead.
Okay, I'll read this to you, and I want to get your
Yeah.
opinion. All right. Greg Phillips, who in December was appointed to lead FEMA's Office of Response and Recovery, spoke on multiple podcasts about being teleported against his will. On January 2025 podcast appearance, Phillips claimed that his car was lifted up while he was driving and transported 40 miles away into a ditch near a church. And another instance had a same scary episode. Phillips said he was teleported 50 miles away to a Waffle House in Rome, Georgia. I was with my boys at the time, and I was telling them I was going to go to Waffle House and get Waffle House. Okay. And I ended up at a Waffle House. This was in Georgia. And I end up at a Waffle House like 50 miles away from where I was. Phillips said on the podcast Onward, co-hosted by right-wing activist Catherine Engelbrecht. Phillips added, and they said, "Where are you?" And I said, "Waffle House." And a Waffle House where, his children said. And Greg said, "Waffle House in Rome, Georgia." They said, "That's not possible. You just left here a moment ago." But it was possible. It was real. But Phillips did warn about the dangers of teleportation. Teleporting is no fun, he said. You know, it's happening, but you can't do anything about it. And so you just go with the ride. And wow, what just an incredible adventure it all was. Waffle House, of course, for those of us who don't know, is a U.S. diner chain known for being open 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So, yeah, apparently you could teleport to a Waffle House, Lorien.
Well, I would like that very much if I was teleported to Waffle House. Okay, so the first incident, he's teleported into a ditch 40 miles from his house.
Yes.
Does he mention how he's teleported anywhere in this story?
No, he doesn't mention how he's teleporting. He just seems to happen when he's in his car, like he has a DeLorean and hits 88 miles per hour.
Well, I find it very suspicious. Sorry, I'm not a big believer yet. I would like to know his background because, you know, Dr. Turi has a story very similar but he's a lifelong contactee. And he's had other incidents where he's been in his car and then he ends up somewhere else. At the same time, he should have been somewhere else, miles and hundreds of miles away from where he's supposed to be. So I totally get that from an experiencer because they actually take your car, make it invisible, you get into like another dimension and they just drop you in the wrong place 50 miles away from where you were. In this case, it sounds like if he is a lifelong experiencer and they are teleporting him, then the second time they teleported him, they actually took him where he was planning on going, which is quite extraordinary, except for they screwed up what state it was in. And like I've always told all my friends, don't let the aliens drive, because when they figure out that they can take you to where they want to take you, it's usually never where you're going. Okay. Sure. And they could put you back a day earlier or 7 hours later or whatever. And so you get your whole day screwed up. And if you have to be at work, you're late, you know? So I don't trust them in the driver's seat anymore.
To me, it sounds like he was abducted, that he didn't go to that he was actually abducted.
Exactly. I'm very suspicious. I want to know all the details around it. You know, that's one of the great things about MUFON that they taught me many years ago is as an investigator, you go in and you start asking all these questions because it isn't when he told those people on the radio show, the first thing they should have said, okay, let's start at the beginning and go real slow. What's the next thing that happened? Did you see a ship? Was there a beam of light? Did your car start dematerializing? Did you dematerialize with it? Do you think your car was actually tractor beamed? What do you think you were actually in the ship? I mean, there are so many ways to go with that. That's where I would have started as a radio, person. Those are the first questions I would have asked him, because that leaves it open to him just being a nut job. The way they kind of left it like that, like him just saying, "Oh, I was teleported and I ended up at a Waffle House." It makes him sound really not very credible. So I don't like doing that to my guest. I like to let them tell the whole story in every detail possible, so that they can have a chance to actually, get the whole thing out as it is, so that it can match the known personalities out there, like Whitley Strieber. If your story is anywhere close to Whitley Strieber's story, then people will take you much more seriously, because Whitley's been there forever.
I want to change topics here because I want to get some audience questions in the next half hour.
Sure. You bet.
What's the hidden agenda of UFOs right now, in your opinion?
Oh boy. That's a very complex question, even though it's very simple in its onset. The agenda is to keep the hidden agenda is more than likely to keep it as quiet and on the down low as they possibly can, with the whole disclosure thing going on right at the surface. They don't want us to know that those Tic Tacs are probably ours. Everybody wants to believe they're not ours, which is kind of interesting. And that's what they did at the whole beginning when they had Captain Favor say, "I wish I could have driven one. We don't have anything like that, blah, blah, blah." Everybody went, "Oh, those have got to be alien." And they took us all the way away from the fact that those might be, and there's a very good chance that those are ours, and that we use them for recon, we use them for all kinds of things. And that it was finally time, since they had been being seen too much by military and other people, that they were finally going to have to start saying, "Oh, they're real." What are they going to do? They've got all these ships at sea seeing them. They've got all the military people seeing them. So I think there was a decision made at the top at that time. What was that, 2014 that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. This will be the beginning of our military disclosure. We're going to do it really slow, and we're going to let this out. Now, it took, 10 years before anybody paid attention to it, but it did start being used. That was hidden. The whole fact that is, like I said, I never believed that was alien technology. I never did, because I know that we have a secret space program. So in knowing that fact, I know that I have seen a big black triangle take off at a speed that is unparalleled to anything we have as, human beings with an airplane here, even our jets.
So do you think then, with this hidden agenda, that there are politicians in the know? Not the ones who are mouthing off about it, like Tim Burchett or Anna Paulina Luna or even Nancy Mace.
Right.
But do you think there are politicians right now in the know?
I know there are. I know there are many, actually. I also know that there are people working with Trump, and Trump knows the truth. And I know that there are and these aren't just politicians. The politicians are kind of like the last to know. It's more the military people. It's more your EG&G company, Raytheon, the guys at Skunk Works and everywhere else, with all the programs like Bigelow used to have. It's those kind of people. It's contractors. These guys know a hell of a lot more than any of the politicians know. They actually know the truth. Like Bigelow, he flat out knows the truth. Are you kidding? The guy knows we have a secret space program. He knows that they've been meeting in space. He knows all this. He even had a fake NASA contract to build a fake thing to go on those modules into NASA so he could be getting tons of money to work on other things for probably the secret space program. I don't know what he was working on, but I do know he was working on, he had materials from crafts. I know that. So, these guys all know a lot. And the fact that Bob Bigelow's he is an experiencer, so he knows that part's real. So, yeah. What can I say? I mean, there are people out there that know. The politicians, Dave, are kind of the last people in the loop.
But we also, in the U.S., you have senators and congressional people that have been there for decades.
They don't know as much as the contractors. Because you got to remember, they don't want our politicians to know anything. They want them to feel like this is the first time disclosures ever happened, and we're here, and we're gonna get to the truth, right? Whereas Bob Bigelow, if you brought him in and he was under sworn oath, I don't even think he could tell you anything he really knows under sworn oath because of the National Secrecy Acts that he all signed, those NDAs, and we have. Okay, I had a buddy named Tron that I think most people that listen to my show know about. He did things that I can't even tell you guys about, and he told me about a couple that I shouldn't even be talking about, but I will tell you this. Now that he's passed and he doesn't have any family left, there's nobody that they can go after. They can come after me, but I'm not going to tell you anything to get me in too much trouble. But I will tell you this. The private corporations that he worked for knew everything about the ships, the propulsion systems, the crafts, the ETs, the underground bases, the MyLabs. They knew about it all. These guys know more than they could ever let on. Now, you got to remember, they're all bound by these secrecy acts. Like, for example, your buddy Whistling Mike. He's in the same pit that Tron got into at one point with his ET detector platform that he built that Bigelow wanted to use and develop, and where they were figuring out what wormholes or what portals in the sky the ships were coming from. The government has known since the 60s where the ships are coming into. They have radar systems that are built just to detect them. They know everything about it. And now your buddy Whistling Mike, he and his dad came up with that kind of detection system, and they're being shut down like there's no tomorrow, right? Because the government's not going to let on that they already have all this stuff. It's all under their National Secrecy Act and non-disclosure agreements and everything they have with all these people. And hey, look, I don't blame them. I don't blame them one bit anymore. I used to be very angry at them for hiding everything from us, but the Chinese have it too, but they're not telling us, and the Russians have it too, and they're not telling us, and everybody's got all this stuff. But if it all ever came out and they could all play ball together, I'm not sure they wouldn't attack the aliens with that kind of knowledge being, parsed out to each other. I just don't know. And I don't trust our government not to turn this into a war of the world situation. I really don't. I mean, look what's going on in Iran. I mean, it just, I don't know what we'd do if we thought we could all gang up on them. If the Russians, the Chinese, and the Americans all got together and said, hey, we've got all this technology that we've all been developing separately. What if we got together and blew the aliens out of the sky? I don't blame them. I don't blame them at all for keeping it quiet.
Let's get some audience questions here. We've got about 5 minutes to go before we go to break. And let's start off with Silent here. Your friend Melinda Leslie was seeing craft coming from an underground base in Sedona, Arizona. What's the latest update on that?
Well, it's interesting that you asked, silent listener. And what's happened to Melinda lately, last report from her last week was that they have been told that base is being slightly abandoned or being shuffled because of her discovering them being out there. So they're moving a lot of the craft out. That doesn't mean that they're telling her the truth, and they could just be lying to her. This was a secret communication that ended up at her, on her doorstep, let's say. And basically they said, you shouldn't really be talking about this. They were giving her the old, warning signs. And her and Jeremiah and the whole gang out there looking into it were all kind of sold, step back, don't cause us problems, and we're all leaving anyhow. So, but as far as Melinda has been telling me, she's still seeing the craft coming out of there every night. So, not every night, but I'd say like 4 nights a week they're coming out of there. And they're going up, they're coming out, they're turning into triangles from a plasma ball, and then they're taking off into, the universe space. They're not sticking around here on the planet, that's for sure. Hope that answers your question.
Erica is asking, your friend Andrew Bashago's mind control, is that like the Total Recall thing, like the movie?
Erica, I would say, yeah, I kind of think it is. I really do. That's what my take is on it. I don't know if Andy would even agree with me on that. Probably be pissed at me for talking about it. But, the bottom line is I really respect Andy. He's a brilliant mind. He's an amazing attorney. He has a mind like a steel trap. And the only way this could be so real to him is if he did kind of live it like in a Total Recall situation. Like I said, he remembers it as memory, so it had to be burned into him somehow. Okay. And I believe the aliens have a way of doing that. I actually am a huge person around the whole alien mind control thing. I think that's going to be my next big reveal as things go here. My next conference, I'm going to bring back my mind control conferences. And it's going to be very interesting because 50% of the mind control on this planet, I believe, is being done by ET. And if I remember right, in Total Recall, wasn't it like an ET situation that caused the Total Recall programming with their government at that time? But anyhow, yeah, I believe that that's what's going on. I truly do.
See if we have time for one more here.
Before the break.
Before the break, yes. Marv is asking, what's your take on the Obama-Trump exchange from a couple weeks ago? There's a rumored pre-written statement coming up from Trump in the next few months. What's your thoughts?
Well, Paramarv, this is a long answer, so maybe we should take it after the break. How much time do we have before the break?
We got a minute 45, so just start it. If we got to continue.
We'll cut it off. We do. Okay. Oh, it's gone. I need that question back.
Well, it's basically about your thoughts on the whole Trump speech, the disclosure push that
but it started with Obama saying that I know the aliens are real when he was on a podcast, correct? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then Trump rebutted with, he shouldn't have been talking about that because that's national security, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, now it's all coming back to me. And then you're asking me if Trump is going to say anything about it.
Right.
Basically. Okay. As far as that first interchange with Obama, I think that Obama slipped up. I don't think he was supposed to do that. I think he did it, and it may have been calculated on his part because maybe he felt like he knew. I'm pretty sure he knows that Trump wants to be the disclosure president. And I think he wanted to get his toe in that water. He wanted himself to be able to say, hey, but I said it first, that kind of thing. Because that's what Obama's like. He likes to be in the limelight as much as he can be. And I don't blame him. Hey, why not? He's next president. He has every right to want to be in the limelight. And then Trump, by answering the way he did, made it seem even more real because he went and said, oh, that's national security. You shouldn't have been talking about it. that made everybody go, oh, shoot, the aliens are real, because now Trump is saying, he shouldn't have talked about it. So I thought that was a very interesting interchange. I'm not sure either it was planned at all. I doubt it because of Trump's reaction. But very interesting reaction, don't you guys think? And are we done for this time?
Yeah, hold
Okay,
that up. We'll continue that when we return.
you
Lorien
got it.
Fenton, we have her till the top of the hour. We're going to get more into UFO talk, audience questions, and General McCasland as well. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
There's a question there. You got yourself muted.
There we go. Did you do that or did I do that?
I think I did that.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Isn't it time for a cigarette?
No, I'm not. No.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I keep thinking you leave it at every break, but I guess you don't.
Top of the hour.
So, what do you think? How were you there for Courtney's presentation?
Oh yeah,
How was it?
it was fantastic.
That's what I heard. Everybody loved it.
Yeah, she was great. She tried to put too much into too little time. And
yeah, we all do that.
Going in, I said, you're going to be you're overthinking, because when you're up there and you start speaking, you're going to run out of time. You have to pace yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And know where to move on. And she just tried to jam so much into so little time. She got caught up in the end.
Yeah, that's okay.
But she was great.
I'd rather have her too much than too little,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fine. Did you see Jesse's presentation?
Jesse's? No.
Beltran?
I was sleeping.
Yeah, I was too. I didn't see it.
I heard it was incredible, though.
That's what I heard. I was like, God, okay. So at some point I'm going to have to watch these because,
I didn't get much into the morning speakers. I was just too tired.
Yeah.
I didn't have a single drink when I was there.
Good for you. I
usually order one beer.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't have a single drink.
Good for you.
But I did have Taco Bell 3 nights in a row.
You did.
I totally did.
You did.
And I was good at it.
You're a champ. I couldn't make it the third night. I just couldn't do it one more night.
I know. I did it, though. And I loved every minute of it.
I know you did. You're like a little piggy at the trough, man. It was like,
yes, I was. Yes, I was. Not gonna lie.
We're gonna have to get you a Taco Bell up there somehow.
Oh, I know. God,
well, now that you got McDonald's, you should get a Taco Bell next, right?
I would like to. I think they should sponsor me for the amount of positive feedback I give them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, do you have a Mexican drive-through already?
No.
Oh, well, God, then they got to get up there because they'll do really well up there.
Oh, yeah.
Just by you alone.
just that thought of Taco Bell up here. Oh my. Up here, Taco Bell is co-franchised with KFC. So we're hoping to get a KFC up here.
Oh yeah, that's what they did down here for a while too. Yeah,
Yeah, that'll be real trouble for me.
I know because I love both KFC and Taco Bell, so it'd be real tough. I'd have to order both.
KFC spicy chicken burgers are the best.
Oh my God, they are. They are the best.
Oh, so good.
And their original recipe, God, I'd still love their original recipe.
Thank you to Dutch Hank, Walter, Jeff, and Josh for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. I do. I do.
He does. I know he does.
Mm-hmm. By the way, congratulations, Crystal Cat. Day almost 47 of no alcohol. Good for you, my dear. That is amazing. You're doing so well. Keep it up. Okay, we're coming back in 5 seconds.
Okay.
I resist. Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio. Let's get right to Lorien Fenton. We're talking about UFOs disclosure coming from the White House. My name is Dave Scott. Yes, I wear a lot of tinfoil. Yes, it is a fashion statement. Lorien, you wanted to continue with your answer from Paramarv's question in the last half hour.
I did. And that's the second part of the question was there's a rumored pre-written statement coming from Trump in the next few months. Thoughts on that? Well, I believe there will be a statement sometime in July, probably around our 250th anniversary of being a country here in America. And I believe he'll say something. I really don't believe that we'll get any kind of like it might it's going to be a soft little disclosure kind of statement where he says, yeah, we believe we've encountered them and we think they're from another, galaxy or universe or whatever. And yes, there are UFOs flying around, but we really don't know what's going on and they haven't eaten us yet. So I think we'll be okay. I think it's be one of those kind of statements. And then I think before his presidency ends, he might try to do the big D disclosure. I really believe that. I mean, he's going to try. It doesn't mean he's going to be able to pull it off because you guys got to remember something. Tucker Carlson is very right about what he talks about the super elites that run the world. Like George Carlin always said, it's a big club and you're not in it. Well, what I've been hearing lately is it's a very small club and none of us are in it. And these are the guys that run the world. These were the guys that banker guy told me about back years and years ago. He says, you'll never know who they are. They don't wear anything fancy. They drive their kids to soccer just like the rest of us. The only thing that would give them away is that they wear nice sneakers and they wear a Rolex watch. He goes, that's about the only way you could tell that they're filthy, filthy rich and run the world. He goes, you have no idea what's going on. And the International Monetary Fund is where it all comes out of. And that's where the Epstein files are all leading us to. That's where everything is going to. And by the way, just to throw this in there before I finish my statement about Trump, you guys have heard lately that one of the girls that was being abused by Epstein on the island actually saw UFOs and believes there were aliens during an abduction on the island. You heard that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, very interesting stuff is coming out of that because I was telling people back 5 and 6 years ago when another friend of mine was talking about Epstein. I said, I can tell you right now, I think he's involved with the UFO world too. And they didn't believe me back then, but now it's starting to come out. So it's very interesting how it's all connected. And I've always said that. Anyhow, back to Trump and his big D disclosure. I think it might happen where he actually gets on a stage and says, we have been living with them. They're here with us. They're part of our, reality. And, here's one now and they look human and here we go. Here's big D disclosure. It might happen. It might happen before he's gone out of office. It's not up to him whether it's going to happen or not, folks. It's not up to him. It's up to these guys that run the world. They're the ones who are going to decide if Trump can do this or not, because you got to remember, as long as we don't have that kind of technology, as long as we can't read each other's minds, as long as we're controllable, they get to have their wars, they get to have their money, and they get to live fat on the hog. And we all sit around, making a paycheck and living day to day. And these guys don't live like that. They never have. It's passed down generationally, and they really run the world as we know it. I mean, look, would you even have a stock market if there wasn't money involved in it? They made it so that, yeah. I mean, they made it so that we don't need a stock market. What do we need it for? If everybody could take all that money that we're investing in all this crazy stuff and divide it up amongst all the people in the world, we wouldn't even have to need anything like that. And don't even get me started on the $5 million that they have put towards the homeless people in the last year in California. If they divided that up amongst all the homeless that we have here, they each could buy a house and not be homeless. It's just so crazy. Guess how many people they house with $5 billion? 112 homeless people have been housed with $5 billion. I'm so angry over this. I can't even breathe. It makes me so mad.
Try living in Canada right now. But we'll save that conversation for another day. Let's go to Gabber here, first time in our chat room. How do we know the SSP soldier is recalling a memory that was blocked, or a screen memory that was installed to block the original memory of the mission for national security?
Well, that's what I think's happening, Gabber. I think you have it right on there, because that's what I have said all along is what's going on, is that they are probably being taken into a situation where they are doing something like maybe in South America, and there's big alien bug things in there, and they have to fight them and kill them or whatever. And then they're all get these screen memories that to block all of the stuff that they did, because they don't want that leaking out for national security is one thing, but also because they don't want anybody to know that the aliens are real, and absolutely you're right. And I tell everybody all the time, it all comes down to mind control. It really, in the end, it really does. There's a movie out called The Manchurian Candidate, not the first one, but the second one, the remake with Denzel Washington. I want everybody to watch it, because the first scene in that movie is belly dancer colored lights and snakes and on the belly dancers and all kinds of crazy stuff just roaming around in the room, and he's in a bliss state and everything's cool, and he kind of remembers all that. But then when they finally get back to the place where this mind control first took place before they were programmed, it's a white room with one chair in it, and that's all in his head. Those are memories they were putting in his head for him not to remember being used in this program where they were killing people and not remembering killing people. So, or being programmed to kill people. And some of them may have been politicians, I don't remember. But the point is that always stuck with me, because I believe that's absolutely true about what's going on. And I believe we've had major mind control since World War II. And here's another kicker. I don't think I've ever told you guys about, did I ever tell you about sitting in on Ed Haslam's presentation at one of my JFK conferences?
No, go ahead.
Okay. It's the end of the JFK conference, I would say 15 or whatever. I'm producing a bunch of them during that time. And St. John, not St. John, I can't remember. He's a talk show host in Texas. Anyhow, George, whatever. He was on Coast to Coast on Saturday nights. I can't remember. Deep voice, amazing guy.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Anyhow, long story short, he was helping us with the conference, and he and I were going in. I had not seen a single speaker that whole conference. He goes, "You've got to come in." So I've sat down next to him, and I said, "I'm so damn tired. I've been up for 3 days. I'm going to lay my head down on the table and kick me if I start snoring too loud. And he started laughing. He says, don't worry, I'll kick you if I need to. I said, okay, great. So I'm laying there and I'm kind of half listening, and Ed Haslam's talking about Mary's monkey. I'm sure many of you know about that. And it's the whole story about Judith Ferry Baker, Lee Harvey Oswald, Mary Sherman, David Ferry, and the whole bit going on in the summer of 1963 in New Orleans. I'm not going to go into detail, but if you haven't read the book, you need to read that book because it's the precursor to the whole JFK assassination. Okay, long story short, he's getting done with his presentation. I'm almost asleep, and I hear him saying, I want to talk to you guys about something that happened at Tulane University that summer as well. I kind of thought, well, Tulane, that's interesting. I wonder what he's talking about. So I kind of lift my head up, and he's showing a picture of 3 people. And he says these are all scientists that were at Tulane that summer, and they were working with the Hadron Collider, and they were also working with the first Hadron Collider I think we ever had, Hadron Collider, whatever they call it. At Tulane was the first place to have one, I think. I think Princeton had one, and I think they had one. Anyhow, it's 1963, so who knows who had them all, but there weren't very many. And they were working with that, but they were also working on cloning, which I thought was, okay, it's 1963, and these guys are working on cloning that summer at Tulane. Oh my God, okay. So now my head's really up. My head pops up, I'm listening, shows the picture, and 2 of the guys, he tells us who they are, and he's kind of covered the third one. And he shows us who that third one is, and it is Joseph Mengele. It's 1963, and there's Joseph Mengele with 2 other scientists working on cloning at that university that summer. And he's part of the whole scientific paperclip system that came over, and they all told us the guy was dead. So I'm like, whoa, what am I looking at here? And cloning, 1963? I mean, come on. And he lived until he was almost, I think he lived till 1978. And they were flying him all over the United States to all these places, and he was helping run the CIA mind control program as Dr. Green. So, this is kind of crazy. I mean, it all in the end comes down to mind control on so many levels. Okay. What is Shogun?
Next question we will go to. Let's get into this one for a little bit because I think it's important to get into the Jules' comment here about General McCaslin and the other scientists that are gone or deceased. I mean, this is just getting to be a little bit crazy.
Now, I just read yesterday that there were 6 people that have mysteriously died or gone missing from one lab. Is that correct?
I don't know if it's one lab, but there are 6. I counted 5 yesterday that were involved specifically at times in the UFO field. Apparently, they have all at one point, according to Tim Burchett, given testimony about UFOs. And since last year, 2 have vanished, 3 have been found deceased.
I really, honestly, Dave, I don't even know what to say. I'm not shocked. I can tell you that. After what's been done to me personally and done to many of the people that were around. Okay, I'm going to give you a little story. 2014, I have my last mind control conference that was the Gold Coast. No, I'm going to go back to 2013 at the Fiesta. I have my second mind control conference at the Fiesta Hotel in Henderson, Nevada. And 2 of the people that were there died mysteriously within weeks of that conference. I put on the next one in 14, and then 4 people within a year speaking at that conference are dead. So out of all the people that spoke at my conference, I would say that almost 40% of them are dead. Now, that is a very odd number. And for them all to be dead or killed or heart attacks, whatever, within a year's period of my conferences, and 2 weeks to 2 months of my conference, is very odd. That's all I got to say. And for Robert Duncan to have died last year, also, when I knew Robert had some physical problems, they weren't that bad. They weren't bad enough to kill him. And if he was taking his medication, and then he dies of heart failure. So I'm just trying to figure out what the heck's going on, because now it's up 50 to 60% of the people that all spoke at my conference between 2012, 13, and 14 are dead. And they were all young people. Duncan was the oldest one at 52. The rest were in their 40s and 30s when they died. So I don't know anymore. I don't know what is going on out there, but I can tell you this. The Clintons have a list that is as long as my arm of people that they've been around their entire careers that are gone. So, I'm starting to wonder if the UFO field isn't going to be the next Clinton hit list, It's like anything you start to get to know and get close to, especially in the scientific community. I worry about Science Bob all the time now, I worry that people like that are going to get knocked off. I worry that even Bob Lazar might get knocked off. Because I don't think they want these guys that understand what's really going on within the UFO community as far as the science behind it. I don't think they want them talking. They don't mind me talking. They don't mind Dave talking. They don't mind us. Like, we sit around and we just, pontificate kind of crazy rumors and stories and what have you. But when it comes down to a science guy, then they really start looking at it, especially the military guys. What if these guys were all deployed in the secret space program and they're all starting to remember it? There's that.
I get you. Do you find it, though, interesting? I mean, if you take Neil McCaslin for a second, that man has a multi-billion-dollar brain from the technologies and the knowledge that he has in aerospace, especially with the military. Do you see this being something where he would just up and leave because of some sort of imminent danger, that somebody may want him or try to kidnap him because of what he knows?
He could have been threatened, and he may have decided to go off grid completely for a while, But what about that guy in Southern California that was found dead on his porch? He was another scientist guy. Anyway, I'm just saying, yeah, he might have left. He might have gone off grid. He might have had the Chinese may have been after him for secrets. But you know what? The Chinese are pretty good about getting any secrets they want anyhow. I don't think they'd go after one person like that. Unless they were blackmailing him in some way. Maybe he didn't want the blackmail to come out and hurt his family. I mean, there's so many scenarios. And the problem, Dave, is we can sit here and we can play this game of what it is and what happened till we're, blue in the face. But the reality is, unless he comes back and tells us why he left, we're not going to know. But I'll tell you this, if he comes back and says, I was being threatened by certain people in the military not to talk about what I know, and I should have gone to Congress during the UFO hearings and said something and I didn't, he goes, and I regret it now. I'll tell you that he was going to blow the whole whistle on the secret space program. There's got to be somebody in there at his level that is getting ready to talk about it, okay? To Congress, to somebody that must have just finally said, I can't take it anymore. I'm gonna spill the beans, and maybe called Grush and said, it's time for me to spill the beans. And they're monitoring Grush's every word that comes out of his phone. So they know who's calling him. So who knows? I mean, there's so many scenarios, and I don't want to put anything in anybody's head, but I'm saying, who knows, at this point. Maybe
All right.
he's got cancer and he just didn't want to burden his family and took off and died,
Let's go to another question. Let's go to Grandizer. Ms. Fenton, remember when videos of reptilians were appearing when President Obama was in office at speeches? Why don't we still see vids like that any longer? Are they being hidden better? Your take.
Oh, thank you, Grandizer. You're talking about the video maybe of that security guy that looked like he was morphing into a reptilian. Is that what you're talking about? And Even the ones where everybody's eyes were turning into slits or half of their cheek would get scales on it. I thought that was fascinating. And I never, all I can say is I've seen that happen. And I knew David Icke back in the day, and I even have pictures of he and I together on a website because I helped produce his 2017 conference. Anyhow, long story short, David swore back in the old days he was in a dressing room getting his makeup on with another famous politician or somebody, and the guy said, "You'll never be able to stop us," or whatever, something, and his whole face turned into a reptile. And I always thought that was the craziest thing I ever heard until 2013. I'm at the Fiesta Hotel. I'm having my conference, and one of my speakers comes down a corridor to the left of me and kind of bounces off the wall in front of me. And he started shape shifting into a reptilian right in front of me. And I was like, holy, whoa. That's all I could think of was, oh my God. And I wasn't afraid. For some weird reason, I wasn't afraid at all. I just was like, that is strange. And because it really never crossed my mind that this guy wasn't a reptilian. I just always thought he kind of was. So when he did kind of shape shift, he kind of bounced off the walls. He says, he came up to the desk where I was registering and he said, "I don't feel right." And I said, "What did you feel when you were bouncing off the wall over there?" He goes, "Oh, I was feeling very dizzy and unsteady, and my skin was starting to burn." And I said, "Really?" I said, "Where?" And he goes, "Down my leg and over on the side of my face." And that's exactly where I saw the scales and the scales on his leg. And he said, "Yeah, they were starting to burn. It happens to me every once in a while when I'm really tired." And I was like, oh my God. So he's a reptilian shapeshifter and he doesn't even know it. And it only happens when he's tired. Okay. So, like I said, I've seen it happen in front of my eyes. So everything I thought about David Icke being a wacko cracker went out the door that day in 2014, because that's when I experienced that. And then shortly after that, I think it was 2016 is when I was driving away from Vegas and the reptilian hugged me in the car. So I had two pretty close reptilian kind of things happen. So it does happen. I'm not sure if people even know that they might have a walk-in into their body of a reptilian. I've been told by so many people that we all have a reptilian overlord that oversees us, that stands 2 to 3 feet behind us at any given moment in our life. I don't want to believe it. I don't believe it right now, but who knows? I might start seeing one with every one of my friends. Who knows? I might see battalions of reptilians. So it's hard to say. And why they're not being, the videos aren't showing up anymore, I don't know. Maybe they're being scrubbed better from the internet. Good old AI can get rid of anything. So
We got time for one more question. We got about 90 seconds here, okay?
Okay.
And let us go. I'm just going to randomly pick. Let's go to Shane here. When a UFO, I won't say UAP because that's man-made, shoots across the sky at extraordinary speed, why is there no sonic boom? Where's the kaboom?
Yeah, because there isn't one, because they're not actually traveling through our airspace with that air pressure foil that goes around our jets that causes the sonic boom, because they are doing something completely different with the plasma around the ship and the field that they create. It doesn't blow through the molecules. It actually envelops them. So they just kind of like, you're like going through cheese or cream cheese or something, or you're just part of it. You're not actually pulverizing it as you hit it on the molecular way. The best person I've heard describe it lately is Steve Colburn, one of my good old friends, on the American Alchemy show with Jesse Michaels. Within the last week he was on, Steve Colburn, listen to his description of how it moves through space. He has the answers.
Lorien, where can people find your show?
My show is on revolution.radio on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern on Studio A. And I try to get interesting, compelling people. And I also get JFK people and conspiracy people too. So that's kind of fun.
Well, that's always fun. That is always fun. Lorien Fenton, we always appreciate you on Spaced Out Radio. Coming up next, we have Swamp Dweller, and Terry Hall will join us for the weird news of the week. So stay tuned, everybody.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you. That was a lot of fun. I hope I gave you good answers.
You always do. You always do. Have a great
That
night.
was a
Okay?
blast. Yeah,
Have a great
thank you
night.
for having me. I really appreciate it. And I'll see you soon, sweetheart. Take care.
Bye, my dear.
Bye.
Lorien Fenton, everybody. I shall be right back. Let's check out Terry's mustache. There it is. Look how gorgeous you were looking.
How you doing, Dave?
Dude, I'm not caught up yet from San Diego. Or San Francisco.
You can't even remember what city you were in, dude. Oh, California's exhausting like that.
Like I think I might need to actually take a couple of days off, just like from my daytime job, just to sleep.
Well, hey, you're the one that lives 5 hours away from an airport, bro.
I know.
You Canadians and your independent streaks and ways. Let's just move as far away from everything as we can and then complain about it later.
Jules, they will come back. People disappear during the break. That's okay. They got their UFO fix.
Stargazer, we used to call those spaghetti sandwiches when I was a kid. You take spaghetti, you put it on like in between two pieces of white bread. I know it's
Maine.
but
Maine, you've got aliens. 30 seconds, Terry. Swamp Dweller tonight will be, it's a short one. It's just about a minute 42.
okay.
Yep.
I've got something to say about that whole McCaslin thing.
Yeah, we can get into that.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Thank you tonight to Dutch Hank, Shogun, Walter, Jeff, and Josh for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love, everybody. Thank you very, very much. And here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We greatly appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. It is, well, I got to scroll up for a second. There it is. Wertfrey. Wertfrey is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. This story takes place in South Carolina at Fort Jackson. When I went to basic training, it was as I expected it to be. Drill sergeants yelling and smoking you on a daily basis. However, there was one drill sergeant who seemed to be a bit off compared to the rest of them. One day, we were washing our gear outside after coming back from a 12-mile ruck march. The drill comes outside carrying what seemed to be a baby. Except that it wasn't. It was a doll, pale and in a black suit. She kept rocking it in her arms and giving us death stares. She would even talk to it. Fast forward to a week later, we were getting smoked for someone dropping their ride. I mean, running around our barracks in endless circles. When we were done, we formed up. And well, let's just say that we have a mannequin, in which we use as punishment to carry around. It weighs around 180 pounds and is definitely a burden. So when my battle buddy and I were at our barracks, we looked up and we see the mannequin looking out the window
staring at us and moving its shoulders, which is just impossible. Keep in mind that we didn't even leave it near the window or anything. To make things worse, there was no one inside. Everyone was outside. Now that I think about it, there might be a connection between the drill sergeant's doll and that mannequin. I don't know. It was definitely creepy, and I've never experienced anything remotely similar to it since.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy story. If you want more just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell. Thousands of stories for you to listen to each and every night. Let's bring in Terry.
Terry Hall's got a mustache, standing by the mold. Curled up like a question mark, got secrets to be told. From UFOs to Bigfoot tracks, ghosts that won't behave. He's coming to the headlines like a constant wave. We do something we get strange and it's wild. From the edges of reality to the unexplained falls. With Terry Hall and Paul, we're just standing strong. I'm Space Out Radio. Let the very stars come along.
All right, Terry Hall, it's great to be here. I got to tell you about my pet peeve, my new pet peeve, buddy.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So last Thursday, I started my day at 7 in the morning. All right. I do my daytime job until 5 o'clock. I come home, I pack up my stuff. I play a game of mini sticks with my boy, which I beat him, which is always good. I love beating him. And then I go do the show. After the show, I have to drive 5.5 hours to the Vancouver International Airport. I'm pretty tired by the time my flight takes off at 8:35 after one delay, only a 15-minute delay. So that's an okay delay. We can survive that one.
Mm-hmm.
I get in on my seat, and I never get weird people sitting beside me, man. I've always lucked out that way. But I got a weirdo, man. So I got the aisle seat. He's got the window seat. And the first thing this dude does is he stops in the row, looks up at the luggage racks, and then looks at me and says, "That's my seat." No, hi, how are you? He's got a CPAP bag as well. So I said, "Would you like me to take your CPAP so that way you could throw your luggage up?" Because I'm a nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm going to put it up here. Okay, your hands are full. Are you sure you don't want me to take it? No. Okay. So I get up, I let him in, I go back in, and first thing he does is he gets on his iPad, starts loading up this video game where his name is Bruce Attacks. All right. So I fall asleep on the flight because I like to sleep on the flight. And I haven't slept all night. I'm kind of tired. I wake up just before I can hear the landing gear coming down, and that's kind of when I wake up.
Yeah.
And we had one of those seats where you kind of get, every now and again, you get the two windows. There's the one behind you and one's kind of in front. And he's got the shades down. It's a beautiful sunny day. You're flying into a beautiful city in San Francisco, and he's got the shades down. And then for the 5 minutes, he would pull the shades up, look where we are, close the shade. 2 minutes, he would lift up the shade, look where we are, close the shade. The third time he did it, I looked at him, I'm like, are you serious right now? The fourth time he did it, I was like, oh my God, Bruce Attacks is like not very Brucey right now. The fifth time he did it, when we were just coming into land. Okay. Now remember, the landing gear are out. The fifth time he did it as we were coming into land, I looked at him and and he closes them again. And I'm like, really? And I just shook my head and he looked at me like I offended him. And he snarkily opened up both windows so I could see outside while we're landing. So my point
You mean
is,
like after you had touched down while you were landing, or while you were on a float?
we're about 45 feet off the ground.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, it's my fault for not booking the seat. Okay. And truth be told, I was going to buy my tickets. And my dad said, you know what, son? I still have some air miles left. I'm never going to use them. Why don't I pay for your trip?
Hey, there you go.
Oh, yeah. And I said, okay, Dad, get me the window seat. Can you get me the window seat?
Yeah.
But he forgot. He forgot to. And I'm okay with that because my dad was really cool about that. He gave me a free flight.
Hey, man, a free flight's a free flight, right?
Absolutely.
But
it saved me about $500. So, long story short, book for people who are taking the window seat. I know there's about 2 more inches of room on that seat. I'm a big dude. Those 2 inches work perfectly for me. But if you're going to be somebody in the middle of the day who has their windows closed, take the aisle seat. Take the aisle seat. Don't be that guy. Don't be Bruce Attacks. Drove me nuts the whole flight.
I could see, okay, like you said, you were sleeping. I could see closing the shades for you while you were asleep, right? All well and good. Maybe even as you were flying, especially if the sun was on that side of the plane and it was just too bright and it was hurting, and so. But on approach into pretty much any city, that's where everybody takes their pictures and is looking out the windows. I think that would have bothered me too, Dave.
Drove me nuts.
I think that would have bothered me too. Now, me personally, when I fly, I always try to get that seat that's by, right there by the wings because it's got the extra leg room. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a tall guy, and
I had that
the way they sardine you into those planes. I mean, I'm old enough to remember when you dressed up to get on an airplane and planes actually had room. Believe it or not.
Just drives me nuts. And the way these airlines now just jam you in there in sardines, and half those seats have probably been worn out for like 35 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, my butt was killing me, man.
Mm-hmm.
My butt was killing me. So
I need that extra leg. I prefer. I'm like you, Dave. If I can, I do prefer a window seat. But even when I can't get, even when I can get them, I do tend to steer towards the aisle because I have bad knees and I need to stretch my long legs out into the aisle occasionally. And if you're sitting there in that window seat, there's just no way for a tall guy to do that.
Yeah. That's what you get for being tall.
Hey, you were talking about the whole ufology thing tonight. What's ufology, right?
Yes.
And they're talking about this General McCaslin. Well, I just wanted to make just a comment about that. You know that I work for a private home security company. And one of the things that my company does is we provide security cameras, right? And of course, the cameras, they run through DVD. They record constantly. They're recorded onto a DVR. I know for a fact that in that particular area where General McCaslin lives, that we have customers there. And they're saying that there's no footage of him leaving or anything like that. Well, that's got to be an impossibility, Dave. I know for a fact that surrounding him are a few customers that belong to my company who have quite an array of cameras that absolutely. I mean, my company, we can't see through your cameras. That's a violation of your privacy. Absolutely. But the way that they set them up, they see out into the street. So anybody that was coming or going, I mean, the cameras are recording all the time. They're saying that they've gone and canvassed door to door and nobody has anything. I don't believe that, Dave. What do you think about that?
I'm just as baffled. I'll tell you
You know
why.
what?
You know, when this first happened, I was like, okay, the guy went missing. People go missing all the time. Okay. Then you find out that he took his pointy stick. And then you find out he left his glasses and his wallet at home. And you're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, is the guy going for a jog? Is he going for a walk? Hopefully he's not doing anything bad. Okay. And just calling it a day. And then, you know, you start looking at the mystery of the timeline where the repairman came over just as his wife was leaving. His wife gets back an hour later from her appointment. And all of a sudden, there's no sign of this guy to be seen in McCaslin. Okay, well, this is weird. Then you find out, or we find out last week, that his assistant went missing in June or July of last year while hiking in California, and they declare her dead before search and rescue is off the mountains. Like they are still searching for her. And somebody declared her dead and had a funeral, a quick funeral. Like, okay, well, whose body was in there? That's what I want to know. Whose body was in there? Then you start to find out, as we reported on last night on this show, that 3 other scientists tied to the UFO world, according to Tim Burchett, have died under suspicious circumstances as well. It's not making the last few months look very, very easy to be a scientist in the UFO world who gives testimony on this subject to the government.
No, there's what was it? I think it's the body count or the person count is up to either 8 or 9, and like it's the whole aerospace engineering and industry. There was this I believe it was a congressman, I can't remember who it was, said that they weren't going to look into that there wasn't a case. Well, what you talked about last night presented a case about this whole thing. What we're talking about right now is presenting, if we can see it, why can't they?
Well, I'm sure they can, but you know, there's certain things you don't want to admit to.
Yeah, very true. Very true. Oh, oddities, Dave. Oddities.
Tell me about it. Speaking of oddities, here's one for you.
Okay.
Got this from theindependent.com. 28-year-old Christian Solario of Modesto, California, has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. You want to know why?
Why is that?
Well, he had been harassing a woman for weeks, then decided to break into her house and got caught sucking on her toes.
Oh.
Yeah. So old Christian here, the pervert that he is, was convicted of stalking and breaking into a residence with the intent to commit a sexual act, with the Stanislaus County District Attorney's Office not too happy with him. Solario first saw the unnamed woman at her workplace in February 2025 and immediately became obsessed with her. He would show up at her job multiple times a day, loitering outside as he waited to approach her when she left. According to prosecutors, Solario asked the woman out a couple of times, and she sent her a letter in which he said he wanted to take her to Mexico. He harassed the woman for several weeks and learned where she lived, according to prosecutors. Then on this specific night, he went to her house, and after her father left the home, he broke in. The woman woke up to find Solario in her bedroom, sucking her toes. Although terrified, the victim managed to talk with Solario in a friendly demeanor in an attempt to keep him calm and de-escalate his actions. After the woman's other family members came into her room, they demanded Solario leave, and then he fled. The woman reported the incident to the local sheriff's office, which later identified and arrested Solario. District Attorney Vida Palazuelos, I hope I pronounced that right, Palazuelos, told the Independent Solario was ID'd, located, and arrested within hours. The victim was incredibly brave and did all the right things to get him to leave her alone. Solario admitted to breaking into the home to approach the woman, according to prosecutors, but he pleaded no contest to stalking and breaking into a residence with the intent to commit a sexual act. When the defendant pleads no contest, they do not admit guilt, but also do not contest the charges against them. Solario was given the maximum sentence of 6 years and 8 months for toe sucking.
I have never figured out what that whole no contest. That's just saying, okay, I'm guilty, but I'm not guilty. But anyway, that makes no sense to me. That first off, that girl is Iron Man nerves of steel. Absolutely, 1,000%. Talking to him calmly, I would have woke up kicking and screaming. The guy would have had a black eye, a broken nose, and missing teeth just from reflex. Well, you don't wake up to somebody sucking on your toes all calm, cool, and collected, man. It's like a high-pitched scream, and you start kicking and screaming.
You know what? I thought that too, but the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, okay, what would liberal-minded Davey think? Well, some people have a kink. Some people have a little bit of a fetish. And maybe, just maybe, while she was sleeping, she was enjoying it.
Look, being married, living with the same person for years and years, you know, anything could happen, right? She not being single, your dad, who's going to be in your house sucking on your toes, man? That's like waking up kicking and screaming kind of thing. That's not waking up going, hey, dude, I can't even imagine what the conversation would have been about the whole talking to him calmly. Come on now. That girl, she deserves an award. That's amazing.
Dude, that's why we call this the weird news of the week, man.
Well, you know what? You're talking about people who do stupid stuff and get in trouble for it. This one is by James Steele. Grabbed it off of Odyssey. Pierce Regis Ellis, 31, allegedly walked into a closed daycare center on Sunday, drank all the kids' milk, and ate all of their ice cream. Ellison's still in jail as of Tuesday after his first court appearance with felony charge of breaking and entering. He also stole and filled an entire garbage bag full of all the little kitties' toys and stuffed animals. The daycare security cameras helped identify Ellis as the perpetrator walked out of the daycare with a garbage bag full of stuffed animals and the kids' toys. He took almost $100 in goods, but he ate all their milk and ice cream, so they have nothing to eat with their cookies, Dave.
I'm going to tell you right now, you could break into my house, take anything you want. Anything you want. You touch my ice cream, you're a dead person. You don't mess with a person's ice cream, and you especially don't mess with kids' ice creams.
Well, how bad would your food have to be for you to call 911 about it?
If they took my Shark Attack ice cream or my cotton candy ice cream that I have, okay, there wouldn't be time to call 911. Them's fighting words right there.
Well, Tracy McLeod was sitting in the Main Moon Chinese restaurant in Ohio and dialed 911 to report an emergency. You know what the emergency was? Quote, unquote. It was not up to par to her liking.
Oh
She
my.
was arrested since the call was nowhere near an emergency situation, and McLeod has been charged with the misuse of 911.
I agree with that 100%. My friend, you hold on. Terry Hall is here. We do this every week. We call it the weird news of the week. Hey, even though we talk UFOs, Bigfoot, and ghosts all the time, sometimes we need to take the foot off the gas pedal and have a good laugh.
This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott.
All right, there we go.
I mean, this whole daycare thing's getting bad, Dave. It's either embezzling or they're eating all the kids' ice cream and drinking all their toffee milks.
Oh, man. Like when my son goes into the, I caught my son the other day. Him and his buddy were over. And they took my little container of ice cream that I had in the fridge, in the freezer. And I was heartbroken because there are certain things that you can't discipline,
Yeah, true.
right? I was like, dude, that's mine. And he gives me that little sinister laugh that the kids do with, when they're pulling one over on their parents.
But yeah, right. It's mine now.
Oh, man. God, I love ice cream.
I mean, when we lived on the East Coast when I was a kid, we lived next to an actual dairy that made ice cream. I was really into ice cream then, but you get ice cream like that, and store-bought ice cream doesn't really fit the bill.
Mhm.
But when we moved here to Oregon, I'm sure you're familiar. I don't know if you are or not familiar with the brand Tillamook.
Yep.
Yeah, well, the Tillamook, the whole deal for Tillamook is not too far from the house here. So Tillamook ice cream here in Oregon is almost as good as it was back on the East Coast. So I'm an ice cream guy again. Shark Attack. That's funny. You get Shark Attack ice cream, but I can't get you to take a dip in the Pacific Ocean to save your life.
You can't get me to take a dip in a lake or a pond. All right. You just can't.
Yeah, when I was a kid, man, they made this vanilla ice cream, French vanilla ice cream. That those flavors you have as a kid that you just never forget, but you can never find again, like Quisp cereal or something like that.
Yeah.
Well, that vanilla ice cream. I know vanilla is just your plain run of the mill ice cream, right? But man, that stuff was so good. Every Sunday it was called Caldwell's Dairy and a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken after church. Yeah, that was my childhood, Dave.
My father ran
in a bucket.
My father ran an ice cream plant.
No kidding.
Oh, dude, my father used to bring home giant boxes of ice cream. When he would get home, we would have 2 freezers full of ice cream. From the gallon buckets to, because there's 4 liters in a gallon. So gallon buckets to like novelties like drumsticks and fudgicles and, all of that. Popsicles. I was worried about kids who liked creamsicles. That's the worst. Creamsicles.
No, they made some creamsicles back in Detroit that were good. Only the fudge creamsicles, though.
No, never been a fan of the creamsicles.
They were pretty good.
You know what I
Not as
still
good as
enjoy?
that French vanilla ice cream, though.
You know what I still enjoy? Freezies.
Freezies.
They're about, you put them in the freezer. They're like all the colored, I don't know what you call them down there.
Popsicles.
No, not a popsicle.
Okay.
The hell do they call?
Freezies.
Hold
Let's
on. Now I
see.
gotta Google this. What
Yeah,
do
dude,
they
popsicles,
call
man. That's what they are.
these in the US?
Plastic tubes sealed at both ends. They're all tied together. You
You
go
call them freeze
pull them
pops.
apart.
You call them
Freeze
free.
pops, freezer pops, popsicles. Yeah, same deal, dude.
No, a popsicle has a stick in it.
Not necessarily. We're pretty generic with the term down here stateside.
Oh my gosh, we're not talking about the Timu version of popsicles here.
You know, when it comes to the kind with the stick in them, you tend to like go with the brand, right? So it would be like a Kisco Freezy or an Otter Pop or something like that. But just as the kind that you peel apart, they're in the plastic and they're all the different rainbow colors and flavors.
Hold on, Terry. We gotta come back here.
As
We gotta come back.
cool.
Here we go. The final half hour of the weird news of the week. Terry Hall is our guest. My name is Dave Scott. Good to have you with us. We were arguing ice cream during the break. Well, not really arguing, but the difference between what we call in Canada freezies, you call them freeze pops or otter pops down there. They're not popsicles. They're not
Amen.
popsicles. Terry is
Amen.
disagreeing with me, and the fight is on. And yeah, here we go.
And so you got the fudgesicles, but like I said, the kind that you said to have the stick in them, Dave, we generally go to the name brand or the type it is, right? Like, but I looked at Freezy, and most of the Freezies, quote unquote, are all Canadian brands. So it's just, we're pretty general with the term popsicle down here, bro.
Oh yeah, you look at you taking the safe way out. Look at you.
Well, it is. It's a generic term,
All right. You know what?
Where do you think the longest lines in any airport are? We were talking about all these lines in the airports this week. Where do you think the longest lines in any airport is?
I would say probably for the TSA lines. They're horrible.
Actually, it's in a city, and when I say the city, you might think about what it is. Philadelphia. It's in Philly.
All right.
It's the restaurants in Philly in the airport for cheesesteaks.
Oh.
There was 1,291 people lined up. It was the Guinness World Record longest line of cheesesteak sandwiches and people waiting for sandwiches in cheesesteak history.
It's making me hungry.
I mean, it looks great. They've got these great big, long, huge, long, goodness gracious. It's like the whole restaurant long. But the cheesesteak originated in Philly in 1900, and it was all of these people got together. It was a volunteer thing, but it was at an airport in Philadelphia. Once again, it was 1,291 people lined up to get a Philly cheesesteak sandwich, the longest line in airport history and cheesesteak history. So there you go. There's something good for you talking about food. Now you can have a Philly cheesesteak and a popsicle. Meh.
Well, all I'm saying is that has got to be a good sandwich. Philly cheesesteak sandwich. That's got to be good.
Well, all right. Here's a war for you. You go to Philly, you get a cheesesteak sandwich, right? A Philly cheesesteak sandwich is it's ribeye steak shaved real thin with cheese on it. And cheese whiz, cheese, right? How come everybody here on the West Coast has to have grilled onions and peppers on the cheesesteak sandwich? That is not a cheesesteak sandwich. Am I wrong?
I think you have to. I think you're right. When when you're in Rome, you do as Romans do. Like when I visited some friends in Pittsburgh a number of years ago, they took me to the Primanti Brothers sandwiches.
Mhm.
These sandwiches, I really didn't like it. I didn't like the coleslaw. Okay, the French fries and coleslaw on a sandwich was a little different for me. Wasn't
Yep.
used to it. But you know what? I manned up. Okay, I manned up. I finished that sucker. Had a bowl of chili with it. I was pretty full. Would I do it again? Absolutely, I would. If I go to Philadelphia, never been. Okay, even though I speak on WPHT every night. All right. If I went to Philadelphia, I would definitely want to eat exactly what they're eating. Right? It's like when I went to a Paracon in Provincetown, Massachusetts, literally on Cape Cod. What do they call that fancy area? Cape Cod? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Cape Cod. Absolutely. Mhm.
Everything is lobster. Every restaurant there is
Lobster rolls. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I can't even talk about it without my mouth starting to water. Still the best lobster I've ever had. Okay. But all I'm thinking is you don't go there and say, could I have something else? I'm
Yeah,
just not
right.
today. Could I have crab instead? No, it's known for lobsters.
Yes.
You
Yes,
gotta eat
yes.
lobsters with it. Sorry.
Lobster in Cape Cod, when you go down to Florida, the scallops are amazing. If you ever get to Florida, you got to try the scallops, Dave. But I'm still thinking about that guy flying into San Francisco. I've flown into San Francisco several times. I think San Francisco, the city, when you're over the top of it, is just beautiful.
It is. Yeah, until
And
you
that's where
realize that ocean,
there's some good picture opportunities there. If you need a couple of pictures for your son, I will send you a few because I got a couple. Of course, they got the plane's wings stuck inside of them, but hey, it's still a picture.
hey, all I'm saying is San Francisco is beautiful until you realize the tiger sharks, the great white sharks, and every shark species lives in that bay, just waiting to feed off you. Okay, that's what I don't like. Don't like
Well, that
that.
was one of the reasons why they put Alcatraz out in the middle of that bay.
Right?
Was
I still think
because of the sharks.
I still think they made it.
Oh, I absolutely think they made it. 1,000% think they made it. Right?
All right, I got
So
one here for you, buddy. I got one for you.
Hit me.
All right, this one's a little different. A professional cornhole player. You know what cornhole is, right? You throw the peg into the hole. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this professional cornhole player named Dayton Weber, he's 27 years old. There's something very special about him because he's a quadruple amputee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The guy has no hands, no legs. His arms go about as far as his elbows. This is where it gets weird. All right.
This is where it gets weird. Okay.
Yeah. He has been arrested and accused of fatally shooting someone, a man, in the front seat of his car during an argument in Maryland, about 30 miles south of Washington, D.C. The sheriff's office said in a press release that passengers in the back seat saw Weber shoot Bradrick Michael Wells, also 27, before he pulled over and asked them to help pull the victim out of the car. They refused and left, at which point Weber fled with the victim still in the car. All of the passengers knew each other. Nearly 2 hours later, a resident of Charlotte Hall, Maryland, about 14 miles away, called police to report a body in the yard. Yeah. Responders identified Wells and pronounced him dead at the scene. Detectives found Weber's car over 100 miles away in Charlottesville, Virginia, got an arrest warrant. They were able to, they were helped in their search by Virginia Albemarle or Albemarle County Police, which said in a separate statement that one of its officers spotted Weber's vehicle at a gas station and used surveillance footage to track him down. Weber was arrested at a local hospital where authorities said he was seeking treatment for a medical issue. He was charged as a fugitive from justice, and public records show he was booked in the Albemarle Charlottesville Regional Jail. The sheriff's office says Weber was waiting extradition back to Maryland. And yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how he pulled the trigger. So at 10 months old, Weber was diagnosed with a bacterial infection, Streptococcus pneumoniae, that turned so aggressive that he was given last rites, actually had a 3% chance of living. And in order to have him survive, they had to amputate his arms and legs. So I don't know how you would get his arm in there unless he was using a prosthetic. It doesn't say that he was using a prosthetic. When he plays professional cornhole, what he does is he brings his two arms together and then tosses the beanbags with both arms. So I'm at a loss here, Terry.
Well, actually, that's kind of where the judge was at on this until everybody looked at his Facebook page and found out that he is a recreational shooter. And he's got some pretty custom firearms. But what surprises me, I mean, can you imagine the size of the trigger guard on his gun? I mean, bang, 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 right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's
his arms were cut off just below the elbow. How I'm trying to picture this in my head, not trying to downplay the situation. Sad story. Person lost their life.
well, I have heard of
How
back.
can he be driving and shooting at the same time?
I mean, this guy is amazing. Not well, when you talk about cornhole, I mean, I guess they get pretty serious with that game. I played it a time or two, but with the leagues, and he was like a nationally ranked dude, wasn't he?
Yes.
This whole cornhole thing. So, I mean, what this guy accomplished without arms or legs, most people haven't even accomplished with arms and legs. Driving, shooting, and not just shooting, but he was like a competition shooter. He was very accomplished. But that's just crazy, man. And then to take off with the guy, and whoa, that's morbid. The whole thing is just Dave. No wonder they have us on a prison planet way out here in the arm of the Milky Way, man.
I hear you. What do you got for us, Terry?
I have the animal kingdom getting even for us.
Oh, wow.
An elephant kills a hunter after falling on top of him. There was this big game hunter in South Africa who died on Friday while hunting in Zimbabwe. Themis Botha, 51, was allegedly on a walk with a couple of others in the afternoon when he ran into a large herd of elephants. It's reported that 3 of the elephants started running at the group, and Botha shot and killed one of them. The gunshot in turn caused the wounded animal to collapse on Botha and killed him instantly. But I think it was karma, because it's reported that Botha is a highly regarded houndsman who is known for hunting leopards and lions as well. So I think this was one for the mom nature to chalk up in the books. He shot the sheriff, but the sheriff just ran him over and killed him. So
I love this story. I do. Win
Me
one
too.
for the animals. Look, I'm going to admit something here. I am a hunter. I am. But you know what? There are certain animals that I think should not be hunted, especially ones that are majestic, like elephants, or
elephants, big cats,
or the big cats, tigers, lions,
I
jaguars.
mean, anything that they just make a trophy out of, Dave. The
Yeah, I'm not a
trophy
fan of
hunting.
hunting. Not a fan of
No.
trophy hunting at all.
Game hunting, that's one thing. If you're feeding your family, and helping maintain the health and welfare of what we have left down here, I'm all for that, man. But game hunt, trophy hunting like that, I never have understood it. Just the thrill. They say the thrill of the hunt. There is no thrill in that hunt for me.
You know what could make that thrill of a hunt just that much better? Getting a really good photograph.
Well, yeah. That's
Right.
the kind of hunt that I'm into, man. Give me a camera and put me out on safari. I'll take all kinds of shots that way.
Now, here's the only thing that I would say is, like, I'll give you an example. I'm a hunter. When I go out to Flight 21, I do go in armed. I
Mhm.
do. Okay. If a grizzly bear or a black bear, I have zero intention of ever wanting to hunt a mountain lion or hunt a bear. Okay, a black bear or grizzly bear in my area. I don't want to do it, and the reason why is I like them. You know what I'm saying? They're gorgeous animals. They are. But if I'm being charged by one, I will act in defense. Don't want to, but no offense. At that point, it's between him or me, and the chances are I'm going to lose unless I pull the trigger.
It would be my luck. I'd go out with bear spray and I'd have it in the heat of the moment. I'd have the can turned around backwards and spray myself. Yeah, at least I wouldn't see it coming that way, though, right?
Well, I mean, it's just adding flavor to you,
Just a little seasoning for the
right?
predator. Do you think bear spray would work on Bigfoot, Dave?
I don't know. I would assume that it probably would.
Who knows? That could be like the mystery of the pudding, the mystery of the Tootsie Roll Pop. The world may never know.
I don't think I would use bear spray on a Sasquatch. And the reason why is Sasquatch apparently has a very, very powerful nose.
So, Dave, what do you think about this whole invasion of meteors lately and how they've been coming in? I mean, the meteor hunters have descended all over Ohio, where a massive fireball left a lot of fragments behind, but it seems to be that it's worldwide after the whole, Oumuamua and Atlas, and we've just been getting bombarded with these meteors. Our scientists are disappearing. Our generals are disappearing. What is going on, Dave?
You may not like my answer with the meteors.
Mm-hmm.
I believe, as somebody who lives in a big sky country, okay, where we have a lot, I see meteors almost every night.
Yeah.
Almost every night, and sometimes even in the evenings. And I don't believe that we have any issues with meteors. I think people are just paying attention because people are looking up in the sky more. And I believe that, if you get a couple of them locally, especially ones that come down quickly and make the big bang when they enter the atmosphere or when they break the Mach speed, I think that's where we're getting a lot of the issues because it's startling people. But I don't think we're being pelted every day, dude, by some sort of space rock or space junk. I don't see anything out of the ordinary here.
Well, let's go from meteors, Dave, back to astonishingly weird human beings.
Please.
Go back to a Guinness World Book record-breaking event where a circus performer pulled a 2,000 184-pound carriage with his nipples.
What?
A Finnish man used his body piercings to break the Guinness World Record for the heaviest pull by nipples. Nipples! 2,184 pounds. The professional circus performer known as the Baron and his partner had his partner also sit in the carriage to bring it up to weight on the Guinness World Book of Records German TV show, the Großschilder Verkorden in Munich. He used the piercings on what he describes the world's strongest nipples to pull the carriage, breaking the original record of 2,179.27 pounds set by American Sage Warlock, aka the Great Nippolini.
Oh my word.
Bear previously broke the Guinness World Record for the heaviest weight lifted by nipples in 2013 when he lifted 71.87 pounds of weight and held it for over 8 seconds.
I don't know why somebody would want to do that. I'm struggling with this right now.
In the
Why would
picture,
somebody want to do that?
in the picture of the guy pulling the sled with the bullet, and it's like a wagon that you would see in Central Park. That type of carriage, Dave. That fancy, king and queen type carriage. There's a lady who's watching him do it, and you can see her. She's just going like, like, oh.
As we start to wind down in time, I will say this. When I hear stories like this, it always makes me realize the quote that has been going on for centuries that says, "This is why women live longer than men." This is a perfect example of that.
Well, men are famous like doing. One of the things that happened a lot back in the day when they came up with the whole carpool thing was guys with their blow-up dolls putting them in the passenger seat so they could ride in the carpool lane. But when I saw the whole thing about, and I guess it's a deal down here, Dave, because there's an actual Guinness World Book of Records for it, and I mean they're pulling over. They're getting close to a ton.
Terry Hall, thank you for the nipple update. We appreciate it. As we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get those horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Good job tonight, buddy. Hold on. Good job tonight, buddy.
Thanks. Yeah, the reason about the whole meteor thing up is, I mean, it wasn't just day before yesterday, right over Portland. There was it was a pretty good one. It was a really bright green flash about, well, a little after 6 o'clock in the morning.
Good times. Good times. Varley Ventura tomorrow night, everybody. Varley Ventura. Varley. Once again, tomorrow and Friday, I'm just building the shows the day of because normally I build them on the weekends, and I didn't have time to because I was in San Francisco. So please bear with me a little bit. We'll get through this week and we'll be back to normal through the weekend and getting the schedules up so that way you guys can see the postings as they continue on. Right?
Amen. So time to go examine the inside of your eyelids, dear sir.
All right. We're going to pull out of here too. Big thank you tonight to Cat Chaser, Shogun, Josh, Jeff, Steve, Garvey, Walter, and Dutch Hank. Don't forget, if you haven't yet already, give us a thumbs up or down, whatever you prefer. We prefer the thumbs up. And leave a comment after.
Like your mama taught you to.
Exactly. Exactly. Good night, everybody. Have a good one. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.